Yeah, I remember your recent ranting.
really,
Oh,
really
you're
little
leaking
ones.
fish juice on your shoe.
I don't care.
They're gonna
The
be
really,
like
really
extra
little ones. Hey, at
fishy
least I'm not
shoes.
pouring it in the air vents of the hotel to cover up the smell of the marijuana I smoked. It's a crust of some kind of currant and some kind of spiny gooseberry, but like every single person who's ever lived on my property has spent hours on Google trying to figure out what this is, and my boyfriend was the most recent unfortunate victim. I walked outside to see what he was doing, and he was sitting on the ground by this plant watching like YouTube videos about gooseberries and doing Google searches trying to figure out what it is. The same guy sold me this tree and told me it was a New Zealand tea tree, which doesn't exist.
Can I see it? Can I see it? Can I see it?
To see it, or her, you're gonna have to look under the RV.
Okay.
But can you say her name?
Pizza.
Yeah, Levitsa. Levitsa means lioness in Russian.
Pizza.
Ah, look what we found.
I already have it, but there's a different TV. There's a different VHS in it.
Yeah, it's a different copy of the same VHS tape. No, it says Home Alone 3. It's not Who Framed Roger Rabbit. There she is, and what's her name? Tell me her name.
Toy.
Oh my god.
Toy. Toy.
Stop it. Stop saying it over and over and don't lean on the door, okay?
Okay. Sprat toy, sprat toy.
I told my child how to say something in Russian and he just like repeats it like a broken record. Okay, so with so much drama on the planet Earth, it's kind of hard to be a YouTuber these days. But somehow, some way, I just keep coming up with fucky ass shit nearly every single day.
Sprat toy.
I'm gonna stop making fun of Snoop Dogg now and show you my interesting bag of stuff. But first I have to say that like what I said was like literally like serious.
Sprat toy.
These days, if you want to be a YouTuber, you are expected to be able to speak, even everyone's saying it, Russian, Chinese, Japanese, and of course English. You may not know this, but if you draw this symbol twice or 3 times, it means flood or overflow. The entire class of about 20 students ended up showing up with this written down in Russian on pieces of paper and handing it in as homework. Я очень рад, что вы в СССР. Я тоже рада, что я тут.
Sprat toy.
And you're also expected to be able to catch a fish and make it into absolutely perfect sushi, like a professional sushi chef. This is sushi that I bought from a 5-star restaurant. No, I'm joking, people. This is homemade sushi. Check it out. Doesn't that look cool? And I have the ingredients to make more. And even more in my refrigerator. But seriously, doesn't that look like something you would get at like the finest 5-star sushi restaurant? You're also expected to be a botanist because you know crime pays but botany doesn't. This plant growing in the middle of my grassy yard right here is called Prunella vulgaris.
Vanilla vulgaris.
Also known as heel all, also known as a vulgar weed that people spray Roundup on to kill it, even though it grows flat and never needs to be mowed, so they can have a beautiful grassy yard that they need to regularly mow. And you're also expected to be an independent investigative reporter. So the question I'd like to ask is, are these people going to be arrested again? How many of these people are going to be beaten up by the police? How many of these people are going to be falsely arrested? Is the government, is the United States government and the Humboldt County government going to respect our constitutional rights, or actually protect our constitutional rights? Oh no, something's happening! An amateur virologist. The only way to determine if gain-of-function research was used to alter a virus that became COVID-19 in Wuhan would be to find something called a genetic backbone. Have I covered all my bases yet? I think not. You're expected to have your life Truman showed. Oh no, her shoe fell off. And be able to simultaneously record a video about anything in the universe while squatting down with a painful bump on your butt that makes it hurt for you to squat, and put on your daughter's shoe in the middle of a video and continue talking about what you're talking about without missing a beat. I don't think I've covered all my bases yet. I think I might have forgotten about a few of them.
Alright, are you done?
No, not at all. You're also expected to be a raging alcoholic and also super skinny while eating copious amounts of food and drinking copious amounts of liquor without slurring your speech. I'm not sure if I've covered all of my bases yet, but I am going to show you a few things in this bag. Okay? Here in this bag I have 5 spice powder with only 4 ingredients.
Chinese secret ingredient. 2
different types of sesame oil, both made in Japan, but one has Chinese rating and the other one has Japanese rating. And people, I do not understand why I can immediately memorize any Japanese character, but it is extremely difficult for me to memorize one single Chinese character. Like, I do not understand that. I have absolutely no idea why this is. I think that Chinese is the hardest language on the face of the planet Earth to learn. I also have a half-empty bottle of vodka because I thought it would make a good prop. And these 2 cans, which are both labeled sardines.
Can I show something?
What?
My dirty hands.
Oh, lovely.
I don't remember why they got so dirty, but they're dirty.
But what I want to tell you is, these are sardines, and these are not. These are sprats, or if you speak Russian or many other languages, spratoi, which is what I told Eugene that he could say after I pulled this out in my video, that he then, you know, started yelling over and over and over. Open them, because when I was a child, these were my parents' favorite sardines. It blew their mind when, like, a few weeks ago I told them that I had Googled the closest Russian market to their home and that they should buy something called Riga Sprats, and if the people working at the store didn't speak English, they should say spratoi, because Riga Sprats, or spratoi, God, my Russian teacher would take the can of sprats and bop me on the head with it because she wanted to get me drunk on vodka and teach me to pronounce oi like a Russian. Are the exact same thing as this, but they taste a little bit better because they're canned in a higher quality oil, and they generally cost like $2.99 to $3.99 a can, and in the USA these cost like $5.99 to even $7.99 a can. And what happened is King Oscar, or whoever owned the company called King Oscar, didn't think that Americans would know what sprats were, so they called them bristling sardines because they look like tiny sardines and kind of taste like them also, so they could sell them on the American market, leading to millions of Americans thinking that these are sardines, just like these are. So these are sardines, these are sprats. They are not the same thing, they're 2 different species. Although this might have helped them be able to sell their product, they really did a disservice to Americans because they brainwashed millions of Americans into thinking that this and this are the same thing when they're not. Anyway, without further ado, we are now going to open this can of sprats, not sardines, and eat it, apparently without Eugene, because he was like so excited when we found the VHS tapes that he wanted to watch one.
I think he put in the X-Men.
The X-Men, okay. I guarantee you that if you buy a can of Rika sprats, they'll look exactly like this and taste almost exactly the same. Actually, these are not the small ones. These are the big ones.
Yeah, I remember your recent ranting.
really,
Oh,
really
you're
little
leaking
ones.
fish juice on your shoe.
I don't care.
They're going to
The
be
really,
like
really
extra
little ones. Hey, at
fishy
least
shoes.
I'm not pouring it in the air vents of the hotel to cover up the smell of the marijuana I smoked. Oh my god, it fell.
There's some for the cat. Don't eat it, Evelyn.
No, do not eat it off the ground.
Yeah, there's chicken
way.
shit within like 3 foot of
Don't
there.
say the S word in front of my child, especially not in a video. Although I'm like continuously scolding you about this kind of stuff in every single video, but no. I don't even know what these are. The ones I was talking about are the ones that are little and tiny, like half the size of this. But they're not sardines.
What is it, an olive oil? That's
Yes,
some
it's
yellow
olive
oil.
These are two stuck together.
Real tan oil. Oh, that's
Anyway,
like a
without
bunch of
further
fish
ado,
fins.
We're gonna go talk about
It looks like she's
botany.
just eating pure fish fin.
We're going to talk about botany, and we're going to look at an unidentifiable plant in my yard that a genetic scientist would have to take a DNA sample of to identify.
Why don't they leave the heads on?
I
You
have no
can't
idea,
eat it
but
head and all, or is it just
See,
non-appealing? Because I want to eat the
ones
head and
that
all. I
they
heard that
sell-
cheap meat's where it's at.
they sell ones like this that are like this size or smaller, like half the size of these, but these are actually not sardines. They're definitely sprats.
I remember we bought whole
Or sprats.
sardines and whole anchovies at that Julione store.
In New Jersey?
Yeah, J. Julione or
Yeah,
something
they
like
say-
that. Day Julione.
That's the kind of thing they sold my parents when they went to buy canned sprats. They sold them some like frozen sprats that have to be cooked because they didn't understand like what they wanted. But what I'm talking about is Rika sprats. Just go on.
Man, you can get
Google
anything like crazy
search
like
for it.
that in New Jersey.
You can get it on Amazon for like half the cost of this can too.
Yeah, but you can't get it for as cheap as you can in New Jersey.
They're like $2.99 or $3.99 can versus the $5.99 that you spent buying this. Which like shocked me because the minute I saw it, I said, "Why did you buy that when you can just go on Amazon and buy sprats?"
They sell those at ShopRite in New Jersey, the exact same brand.
Yeah, it was like $5 or $6.99. I know my parents have been
Really?
buying it for like my whole life. The same guy who sold me this tree and told me it was a New Zealand tea tree, which doesn't exist, also sold me this plant. And yes, that is an uprooted St. John's wort plant sitting in a cooking pot in water in my yard. Back to this plant. The guy who sold me that tree also sold me this plant, and he told me it was a cross between a rare variety of currant and a Chinese gooseberry. But unlike American gooseberries, which can cross with currants, which are a species of gooseberry, Chinese gooseberries are a completely different species, and they cannot cross. Therefore, the guy must have been wrong. Now, I don't know if this guy just wanted his plant to have a cool name and made this up.
It looks just like a Paxil gooseberry.
Yeah, but it's not. It's definitely a cross. He had this plant name X'd with another plant name on the original tag that I lost, and it's got these spines. It's a cross of some kind of currant and some kind of spiny gooseberry, but like every single person who's ever lived on my property has spent hours on Google trying to figure out what this is, and my boyfriend was the most recent unfortunate victim. I walked outside to see what he was doing, and he was sitting on the ground by this plant watching like YouTube videos about gooseberries and doing Google searches trying to figure out what it is. Okay, go on Wikipedia and look at the list of species of gooseberry that are in the same plant family as currants, and you'll find like a list of like, I don't know, like 50 or 100 varieties, and they can all cross with each other. This could be a cross of two plants or a cross of two plants that were crosses of two plants. Like, the only way to identify what this plant is would literally be to take a sample of its DNA and send it to scientists. It is, like, not possible to identify what this is.
Keep an eye out for caterpillars.
Yeah, we've had a few caterpillars eating it. Every year it makes berries.
We've never had any issues with
See, they're growing right now.
I found 3
That
caterpillars
turn kind of like
on one leaf.
reddish kind of color eventually, and then become tasty. Like every year. And my boyfriend built this
No, they
beautiful
turn
trellis
black.
around it. Yeah, they turn black eventually, but they're edible from when they're like a really dark reddish.
All the
sorry for
ones I've
burping, too
ever
black.
the Paxil gooseberry.
It's
is
not a
the one
Paxil gooseberry. It's a cross between a
Yeah,
like.
but those only turn red, and this one actually turns black.
That's what I'm saying. The guy crossed some kind of like what he thought was a gooseberry with something that he thought was a currant because he knew they were in the
But
same family. But
the
he was
biggest
like, wrong.
gooseberry we've ever had was one that was the size of that one. This year, though, we're getting...
No, I've had ones like this. It was just like a few years before you moved into my house.
Okay.
Somebody
but
like
I took care of it.
didn't give it the right. Yeah, somebody didn't give it the right fertilizer. Like this plant needs like different fertilizer than like this grass or any normal like yard vegetable.
So what is this stuff here? We never Googled it, but I don't
It's
think
like
we
a
can
thistle.
call this drooping. It's just a regular thistle.
It's a certain type of thistle.
There's like milk thistles and all different types of thistles. Like there's
Google it. Google it.
Thistles in Tennessee look totally different. But
Okay, this is considered to be a thistle, a sow thistle, but this is actually like edible. Like I eat this. If you cook it, it tastes like spinach,
But also
like
for
exactly like spinach.
example, it looks just like this. It looks
Yeah, that's what I'm
exactly
saying.
Like
It's
this
definitely a
artichoke.
thistle. It's
And
in
this
the
is
same
a
plant family.
heirloom variety of artichoke from this area.
From this area, dude, there's no heirloom varieties of artichoke from this area. It's from like somewhere else that someone grew in this area.
Yeah, it's grown in this area, but
You have to do something about these buttercups. They're like really, really, really bad here.
and then this right here is our new. I believe it's a youngberry.
There it is, people. Possibly a youngberry. God only knows what it really is. That's why I hate common names and like to use like scientific species names.
Apparently,
Like
a
Prunella
youngberry is
vulgaris.
a cross between
It's called
a
heal
raspberry,
all,
a
self-heal.
blackberry.
But there's like a million plants on the planet
And
called
one
heal
other
all
berry.
and self-heal. They're not Prunella vulgaris. It's like whatever plant heals your wounds in the area you live in is going to be called like something like that. If you don't know what it is.
Look at this pumpkin.
Also, numerous
It
plants
start-
called Band-Aid
It's about
plant.
to open up a flower, like a. Who knows if it'll be male or female? But you see, right under there, that bean plant needs to be transplanted to somewhere where it'll actually get sun. It'll never get sun underneath these pumpkins.
That's like a garbanzo bean or something.
We should
What kind of bean is
transplant
that?
it. It's up underneath the pumpkins.
Interesting.
I think the beans need more light. And stuff. I don't know. Who can survive the pumpkins or the beans? It's like they're.
Like I even Googled what that was
What is
and
this
decided to
thing here?
leave it. That's Doc.
Okay, it doesn't need to be there with all these.
No,
other-
Doc won't hurt anything. It's just like one plant.
Mm-hmm.
It pulls up nitrogen. It makes like 6 foot deep roots and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, you just chop off these leaves and like when they dry, you crumble them into the soil.
Okay.
It just like grew there like with the
What is this
tomatoes.
stuff growing underneath? Is that dandelions right here? Looks like we
It's
got
dandelions there. Yeah,
micro
dandelions.
dandelions.
Those are dandelions. I always throw dandelion seeds in my garden bed. They do the same thing with nitrogen. And they don't hurt anything.
That looks like a black widow's nest right there. You want to poke at it?
Ew, don't pour your beer on it. No way. It's just like
I'm
gross.
gonna drown it out.
Wow, did you use that Chinese 5-spice powder that only has 4 ingredients on these?
Yep. And I used white pepper.
Well, I guess now we have 5 spices.
What are you smoking and drinking?
Some bubonic chronic that's gonna make me
Hold on.
choke like it ain't no joke, and gin and juice. No, I'm kidding. This is a spliff and some purple, artificially flavored and dyed soda.
That's a spliff of OG.
Not the bubonic chronic. God, I just can't stop making fun of gin and juice and Snoop Dogg. I'm gonna end this video now. Bye, people.